Hello, welcome back to the channel. I'm Jag from Jag's Watches, and in today's video I ask ChatGPT for 10 unwritten rules when it comes to watch collecting. So whether you're a new watch collector or you've been collecting watches for 30 years, let's see if we agree with ChatGPT or not. But before I get into it, please subscribe if you've been enjoying the content so far on the channel. I really appreciate every single one of you that leaves a comment and that has subscribed, so thank you. Let's get straight into it. The first one is, buy what you love, not what others tell you to. Now, I think this is pretty obvious. I 100% agree with this. Let me know in the comments whether you do or not. I think it's really important not to chase trends, because that ultimately would lead to regret. And I feel like personal connection always wins, and that is something that I champion myself. I said no to a Rolex Explorer instead for a Omega Seamaster just because it was a birth year watch, and also because I'm a James Bond fan. So personal connection always wins. Buy what you like, because ultimately you're the person that's going to be living with that watch. So I agree with that, ChatGPT. Well done. Moving on to the second one. Condition matters more than hype. Now, that's interesting. I agree, especially when it comes to vintage pieces. I think a mint no-name watch can be a little bit better than, let's say, a beaten-up icon, especially if it doesn't work. But if it still works, there are certain vintage watches out there that I think still look pretty beautiful, even if they are beaten up. Certain Submariners that I've seen, certain Rolex Explorers that I've seen, even Breitlings are wearing the top time right now, but even beaten up versions of this still have a certain charm to it. So agree, but in certain circumstances, I think an icon, a beaten up icon, as long as it still ticks, can sometimes be the better choice. Number 3, a watch's story can be more valuable than its price. I think provenance and memories attached to a piece are priceless, so I don't think you can put a price on to a watch's story, especially if they have that real personal connection and you've created certain memories with those watches. I agree with this. An example of mine would be my watch that was bought for me for my wedding. I think irrespective of how expensive that watch is, it means way more to me than the cost of it. Why? Because of what it represents, really. So I think I agree with that. ChatGPT's on a good roll, I think, at the moment. Okay, so number 4. Your taste will change, and that's okay. I agree with that. I think over time, tastes do definitely change. I remember when growing up, I really liked Breitling, and I still do to a certain extent. I loved how shiny they were, how big they were. Then I think I liked things that were more overstated, blingy, flashy. And I think as a child and a teenager growing up, you want to be a little bit more flashy and show-offy and whatnot. But now I feel like my tastes are a little bit more refined in terms of I appreciate understated luxury. I've mentioned that several times in my videos. So I think your taste will change, and that is okay. But that is why you can't go wrong with timeless designs. And that's why there's certain watches that will never go out of fashion. And they're the sort of watches that are, I guess, safe options when deciding what to spend your money on. Number 5, servicing costs are a part of the game. I agree. They are a part of the game, and I think that it's definitely a factor that is overlooked when deciding what watch to buy, especially when it comes to vintage watches. I think you have to factor maintenance into your budget. One thing that really surprised me actually was the servicing costs for Rolex. I expected them to be a lot higher than they actually are. I understand that Breitling servicing costs are actually really high, which surprised me. But especially when it comes to vintage, there are some hidden costs because the movements are so old. Getting hold of certain parts, it can be really costly. So really think about that when you're deciding to buy your next watch, because ultimately, if it is a mechanical watch, it will need servicing. It will definitely need maintenance. Now, moving on to number 6, not every collection needs a Rolex. It's put here in brackets or a grail, but let's talk about needs a Rolex, because the Rolex fanboys may have something to say about that. I definitely agree with this. Right now, my collection does not have a Rolex in it, and that does not make me any less of a watch collector than the next person. I totally agree. It's important that the collection is about you and not about flexing to others. It kind of links in with the first point about not following trends. 100% agree with ChatGPT on that one. Moving on to number 7, photos lie. Always try before you can buy. 100% agree. I've seen watches that I absolutely love on the internet. Watches that I think look beautiful, but when you see it in person, when you try it on, it just does not hit right. And that is the case when I tried on a Grand Seiko. Can't remember the reference, but I'll put a picture of it for you. It just didn't feel quite right on the wrist, but in pictures it looks absolutely beautiful. Make sure you see it in person before you buy, 100%. Now moving on to number 8, we've got here, the hunt is half the fun. I totally agree. The amount of watch videos I have seen on YouTube, the amount of reviews I've watched before buying a watch, oh my god, there's something about watching these sorts of videos on YouTube. Don't rush, enjoy searching, enjoy learning, and waiting for the right piece, because the longer the hunt, the more satisfaction you get when you actually buy that watch. Honestly, when you want that watch 100%, and when you actually acquire that watch, it feels sweet. It's honestly a great feeling. So don't rush, especially if you're spending a lot of money. I agree with you, ChatGPT. Number 9, flipping happens and there's no shame in it. I agree. I don't really want to point fingers at people that buy watches, especially Rolex, and then don't wear it and flip it straight away. I understand why it exists, and each to their own. I personally don't collect watches as investments. For me, watches are there to be worn. I think it has a knock-on effect though for enthusiasts like myself who want to get hold of certain models, because there are people out there that don't really care about watches and buy them just because they want to flip them on and it's a business for them. I think it makes it a bit more of a difficult thing for, you know, genuine enthusiasts that just want the watch and just want to wear the watch. So there is no shame in it, but at the same time, I think there is that nasty element and that knock-on effect to me and you who are the watch nerds and who just love watches for watches and want to wear them. Now moving on to the last, number 10, there is no perfect collection. There's only your collection. And again, I do agree. You know, ChatGPT has really impressed me today. Curate what makes you happy and not what makes sense to others. I think ultimately, we mentioned it before in the video, your taste will change, and it's just consumerism, isn't it? I think you'll always want something different. You'll always want another watch, maybe. I don't know. I feel like I made a video about my Grail watch, and many people in the comments said that your Grail will end up changing. So only time will tell. I don't want to be naive and say that I will never change what my Grail is. Currently, my Grail is the No Time to Die, and it's always been that, I feel. So it's been my Grail since it came out, which I can't remember off the top of my head. I think it's 2018, 2019. So there is no perfect collection. There's only your collection, and be proud of it. Be happy. Own it. And so if you've enjoyed the content, the video today, make sure you like, subscribe. As I said, I want to see whether you agree with my take on what ChatGPT has said, but also if you agree with what ChatGPT has said with regards to these unwritten rules. I would appreciate a like and a subscribe. And as usual, I've been Jag from Jag's Watches. Remember, timing is everything, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.